Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here. Now, a new year means a fresh start, so today I want to discuss big plans for the season ahead and get your vote on an important decision. Now, I just wanted to start by saying thank you very much for your wonderful response in the comments section of the last video. Had some really wonderful comments about the progress made in the last year, both on the channel growth and the great progress we've made with all of these builds. So that was really great for me to read and gave me loads of new energy for the next season ahead. I also really loved your responses to the 3 challenges we set there about the favourite scene, the favourite build, and indeed your favourite 3D sign. And I was really happy to see quite a few favourites that you picked that I hadn't really suggested as options throughout the video. So clearly, you had those favourites already. And it was really good to have some that I'd almost even forgotten myself, especially on the 3D signs. There was quite a few that I hadn't shown, like the gingerbread man on At Sweat, and hadn't really focused on too much, like the really big new golf sign on the back of the cinema. So that was really great to see and really fun to read as well. But on to this year. I just wanted to do one piece of sort of housekeeping in a way, and that was just to say I have ordered the new police station modular that I'm going to be putting on this base plate here with its back to us, so we'll have the 3 nice colours visible from the train line, much like we have for all of our other modulars, and then that will be having its front obviously on this street here, and I will be converting my police station so it's a super secret police station, and I'll be putting, well, I don't want to spoil it too much, but I will be putting large super secret police signs on everything, because I sort of think that's part of the joke, is that the super secret police are so unsecret because they keep writing their name on every flat surface. So fair enough, I'm going to do that. But now forward and onto the season ahead, and the main focus is going to be over here. So I'm going to swap standing holes. The next thing I wanted to cover was my 3 New Year's resolutions. Last year I had only one resolution, and that was to do a vehicle of the day, which was populating the roads of Brick Nottingham with a vehicle every time I was working up in the Lego room. And that was really necessary because we had very, very empty roads then, and now we've got quite a lot of traffic in and around, especially on the far side now, where we just were standing, which has got a decent amount of traffic. But that has been highly missed and in demand ever since. So I've decided now we're going to have a lot more roads on this side, including this sort of winding road that's going off into the countryside, and will go a bit further once the roller coaster has been moved. And indeed, on the other side as well, we've got this road that will start kind of roughly here where the super secret police station will be, and go all the way to the end of this line as well. So we're going to have a lot more sort of road real estate, so to speak, to populate. So I'm going to bring that back, except I'm going to do vehicle of the week, slight variation, just because I think if we add any more than 50 vehicles in the next year, we're really going to have gridlock, quite frankly. So I'll start as I mean to go on with set 4434, which is called Tipper Truck. And you may work out why. So I think I'll put that there. I've filled it with 1x1 round grey bricks. And that's probably to suggest that it's filled up with rubble, perhaps from the demolition site down here or something like that. But I think it's a very realistic truck. It's one of those ones where there's no point trying to do a mock because Lego's already done an absolutely fantastic job, I think. And the bed obviously tips, hence the name Tipper Truck. And the end kind of opens up like a hatch, but I'm not going to do that because we'd have a massive leakage of rubble. But yeah, for a penny each on those pieces, I think it's actually a real good addition to have it absolutely full of bits. And I could put some bricks and things in to suggest it's less sort of uniform perhaps, but yeah, I think it looks good there anyway, nice and bright. My second resolution, unfortunately, is a little of a negative one, I suppose, but it's just born out of necessity, really. And that's changing the policy that I've had right from the beginning of answering absolutely every single comment that I receive. Even if it's just great or something like that, I've already always responded with saying thank you or something like that. or going into more detail where they have. But essentially, now I'm getting more views, more subscribers and all that, which is a very good thing. I'm just not going to be able to keep up with such a huge amount of comments to answer. So I do promise to continue to read every single comment that you make, all of you, and I'll still add a nice sort of heart onto everyone's comment or something, but I'll only respond to some that sort of need a response or, are particularly interesting or something like that. But I hope that won't be too much of a negative thing, but it's just getting to be too much of a time-consuming activity to maintain, really. So I hope you'll bear with me on that. And then my third resolution of the year is to, shock horror, get this fairground going. And that will be a massive relief to some of you to see these rides all motorised, moving, and all part of a cohesive area, because this whole set of tables over here obviously represents about a third of the room, given that we've got another set here in the middle and another set over there. So it's well worth getting on with, I think, and making a real start on as a priority for this season. So that is my resolution, to get that really progressed. And very shortly, I will need a bit of help with a major decision on how to do that. So stay tuned for that. Now, I know a lot of you have been waiting for this fairground for an incredibly long time, partially because I've been talking about it pretty much since the very beginning of the channel, and you've always seen in the distance some rides waiting patiently, including this roller coaster 10261 and this rather fabulous Ferris wheel 10247. Incidentally, I've added red couplers to a few of these, so we've actually got a much better colour balance than just the green, yellow and purple that come with the set. I can definitely recommend that to anyone who's got that set. Readily available pieces, no pun intended. And I've also motorised a few other sets, including the Friends Funny Octopus Ride 41373, the Gift with Purchase Space Rocket Ride 40335, and I've even motorised and changed quite a bit actually the Venus Fly Drop Ride, as I've called it. Oh, it's stuck behind my light, which is part of the Jokerland set 76035. They've all got their own videos, or at least these three have, and they're well worth watching to sort of see how I did them. So we've made a bit of progress already. But the reason why I hadn't done anything further than that was just because I use this area for working. As you can probably see, I've got all my interesting parts sort of spread over here. All my small parts are kind of in there, and everything else is just in different containers and bags. And this is where I stand to actually build some things, or definitely amend things anyway, when I'm not on the building desk. So it's been very useful in that regard. And it's exactly the same as this area over there, right off in the distance above the turtle lair there. I actually just use that area as kind of a staging post, either to put my filming equipment or to put other things that I'm sort of doing in that day's video, just to make it a bit easier, because as you can see, there's very little place to actually put anything in the whole city. So the reason why I have these areas clear is to make it a bit easier for myself. But now I think that time has come to an end. We've sort of painted ourselves pretty much into a corner. So I'm going to have to move all of this, I think, downstairs into my office, which is where the building desk is, where we are for the desk-based videos. So I'm going to have to do a major sort of reorganisation of that room to accommodate it, so it's not all over the floor there. I want to have it sort of relatively neat and tidy for everyday use and not get dusty and everything. But for today, I'm not going to do that today. What I'm going to do today is basically clear this entire space so we can see what on earth we're doing. And at the same time, I'm going to move my two lights, which have been positioned here and here for providing illumination for videoing, to slightly, well, different locations, probably in front of the space tower on this side, and maybe, I don't know, somewhere around the construction site on this side. And they're not going to stay there forever. It's just that I need to have this light conveniently located so I can do film and you can see it all very clearly. So I'm going to get on with clearing the tables and moving those lights, and then we'll come back and I'll go through my plans and you can tell me your vote. All right. How much clearer is that? Wow, all the bits, all the bags, all the boxes, all gone, which has created another problem in my office. Yeah, I just moved the problem. It hasn't gone away. So we've got a nice clean area now to work in. I've just spread out my rides temporarily. And what we've been able to do is move both of the lights to their new temporary spot and extend the roads as well. So we've got this long road that was going from the junction where the super secret police station will be all the way along, pretty much to the corner, where it will take a bend. And then it will go off into the distance through that wall eventually. I'll have to do something small in here, maybe some roadworks or something, just to bridge that little gap to the wall. I'm not planning to use the new road plate type things because I don't really like them. They're a bit too narrow, I think, to have a lot of traffic on. And indeed, while we're on that subject, I quite like having my buildings built right up to the edge of the base plate that they're on, like I did with the GBC building, and just using the pavement or sidewalk that's on the edge of the road base plates, just like I have indeed outside the station as well. So that's just the right width for me. So it's only on occasion where I have the kind of double width pavement here, but I'm actually considering using those new bike lane pieces to put a bike lane in here. So I'll actually make that a feature rather than a problem. But yeah, I'm not going to move onto a new road system for any portion of my city, let alone do a mass conversion. I think that'd be a nightmare. Also, the new ones are quite bitty with lots of like join lines just because of all those tiles, and they're quite expensive really compared with the older system. I had thought they were going to have both systems in parallel, but it seems that they've actually stopped these now. So that's a bit of a nightmare, I think. I don't see why they couldn't have kept both systems going and then left it to individual choice. But anyway, it doesn't really affect me because I have got enough to get all the way to the end that I need to. And you've probably just seen the stem of the light there. Won't go up and look at it too much because otherwise we'll get dazzled. And we've got our daredevil at the moment who's actually jumping the double-decker bus at the moment without a ramp as well, showing us his real prowess. And he's looking very scared, it seems, just because he's probably going to hit the base of this light. Anyway, over to the other side, and I've temporarily put the other light here. Yeah, it kind of gets in the way and blocks our view when we do the full tours. I'll probably move it for that, but for now it's sort of lighting that way where we're going to be doing a lot of the work. And I've just moved this roller coaster a little bit just to show you where that road's going to go. Again, there's an 8 width base plate there, which I'll have to do something to, obviously that'll be along a bit, and I'll have to fill in that gap as well with, I don't know, some more roadworks or something like that, or maybe just some tiles just to make it bridge. But I don't think that'll be a huge problem. But yeah, any creative ideas for crossing an 8 wide gap on one of these road plates will be interesting to hear. You might have a better idea than me. Right, so this is our new setup then, with all of these tables to play with. They're kind of at the wrong height at the moment. They're far too high. They need to be a lot lower, well, even to be level. I just put them up temporarily before. And I better go through my entire plan for the fairground. Now, if you look at a typical ride, and I think this one's an especially noisy one. Yeah. God, it's going to be awful when we've got about 12 going. You'll see that they've got a lot of electrical gubbins. We've got obviously the Power Functions battery box. We've got the motor back there and loads of mechanics as well. And it's not too bad on this one because it's right at the back there. And from this main viewing angle, you can barely see a thing. But on all the other rides that I'm going to be doing, it might be that there's quite a lot visible. For example, on my Venus drop ride, if I just plug that into the same battery, which does a little drop and then a big drop. That is cool. Quite noisy again. And I've actually got loads of green and lime bricks actually just to colour code the back sort of section that I did before. That was a good suggestion. I think I've already given a bedoing. I've even got another one of these to maybe make it taller, but I think that might end up making it worse. But anyway, back to the point. The point is that this mechanism and motor are all very visible. So what I've always intended to do is to kind of conceal all of that in a kind of layer underground. Now, it's going to be quite hard to show you, I suppose, but what I'm going to do is have these tables about 3 bricks lower than the other tables, which will kind of give me that much sort of basement, if you will, to play with. and the ground level will continue completely unchanged. So it will be, from the external sort of appearance, will be exactly at this height all the way along, but it will be actually covering this recessed area, like I say, and that will contain all of the motors, all of the wires, the power sources, and absolutely everything else. And only a small amount of the mechanism, say this big wheel in this case, will be above ground, which is kind of unavoidable. But that means we've got a lot more space, a lot more real estate to fit in a lot more rides, because we've got quite big tables here. This is 1 meter by 60 centimeters, and there's 2 of those. And we can kind of overflow these tables a little bit as well on each side. So we've got a good area to play with. And I want to get as many rides on as possible. And having all of the motors, power and cables and everything hidden will not only make it look better, but will give us a lot more room as well. So things like this rocket ride, I plan to have the ground level probably right near where my thumb is, just above those stars. So all of the rest of the mechanism that we need is actually concealed underground. So we don't need those weird steps up there or the weird sort of letterbox pay slot. And it will be much more realistic, kind of looking a bit like that with only the bit above my thumb showing. And a ride like this, when I did this in the video, I had loads of mechanism underneath this. So this is how it would look, just like that, like it was sat on the ground. But in the cavity underneath, it would have all of the mechanical gubbins and the motor and so on. So that's what I'm going to plan to do. So our 2 rules for the fairground is that everything's going to be motorized. I'm not going to put any rides in that aren't motorized. And even further than that, I think I'm actually going to put in a few stalls as well. And I don't mean toilets if you're American. A stall might mean that, I suppose. A stall, I mean like a game that you can play, like Hook a Duck or the Coconut Shy or something like that, or a shooting gallery, that sort of a stall. Don't know what Americans call that. Anyway, nonetheless, I'm going to put lots of games in as well, and an arcade and things like that probably. And they'll be motorized wherever I can as well. So this is probably going to be the noisiest Lego fairground in the world when it's finished, with loads and loads of medium motors, which I am aware have also been discontinued. But the good thing is I had already bought those, so we're safe on power function stuff. But it'll all be concealed. So yeah, rule 1, 100% motorized, and rule 2, that recessed area, so everything that is mechanical is not on view. And I'm hoping as a result then we'll have these huge rides sort of towards the back, sort of loads of medium rides towards the front, interspace with games and stalls and so on. All sorts of circus performers, clowns, things like our barrows perhaps. And I was going to do a stall using this as the sort of roof and the base. These are all Fabuland parts, by the way, from brick halls. If you don't watch my brick halls, give them a try. And the colour for this whole area is going to be this bright green. Now, that is rather disgusting, a colour, but we've kind of got a head start with it being used underneath the Ferris wheel. We've kind of got a head start with it being used underneath the roller coaster as well. So I'm going to continue that theme, going to fill in the gaps and so on that are in the middle there. And we're going to have a green area here, the sort of proper normal green. Then we're going to have bright green pretty much from here all the way to here. And I think that's going to represent the sort of longer grass that would be in a more sort of parade area. Because I see this as a fairground more than a theme park. So this isn't like a theme park where it would be there 365 days a year. This is more like a travelling fairground, which is more typical in the UK and indeed in Europe as well, where a fairground would be in one city for, say, a fortnight, 2 weeks, and then it would move to another city in maybe another country, indeed. And there is an example of this in real life. And that's the fair that comes to Nottingham, real life Nottingham, every year, and that's called the Goose Fair, just for very traditional reasons. So that's more what I'm going to be trying to replicate. And believe it or not, they do even have these really large rides that they build in the first week off the back of lorries. So it is realistic. Now, I'm not sure I've got time to position all of these rides today, whether off the back of a lorry or not, just because I'm running out of time with moving all of that stuff. And indeed, I can't really get going until I've repositioned all of these tables to the right height, which is going to require me to even adjust this part of the haunted subway station as well to accommodate that reduction in height of the table layer. So I won't try and kind of start that and not get very far today. But what I will do is ask for your vote and your help as to what I should do in the two corners, both this corner and this corner. Now, the middle bit here will all be solid fairground. So imagine this roller coaster is kind of moved across or something like that. And because we're kind of moving out of town towards this side of the Lego room, I thought I'd do two areas that were kind of less built up, more rural, I suppose, in the countryside. And I decided to do a farm, which I've always planned, based on 7637 farm from 2009 in this corner. And I've also planned to do a gold mine based on the Mindset 4204 from 2012 in this corner. Now, I think it's going to be a lot easier doing the fairground if I know where the boundaries are, at least on one side. Kind of starting in the middle is going to be very tricky, kind of not knowing where I'm kind of building up to. So I think before I can really start the fairground in earnest, I kind of need to either do the farm over here or do the gold mine over there. And then that will set kind of one edge from which I can kind of expand outwards, because that's kind of the technique I've used in other parts of the city, including right at the very beginning of our journey. You know, you get things like the rail line and the beginnings of the monorail system in because they're very sort of immobile, and then it's very easy to kind of build out bit by bit from that. So that's what we did over there. It worked very well. And we've got the boundary from the road on both sides in place. So really, if I get one of those two builds fully done, then not only will it look great, but it'll also perform that sort of solid boundary that we need. So really what I want in the comment section from today is your vote, because the other one will have to be coming at the end of the fairground after we've finished it all. So whether you want farm now as kind of a January multi-parter, or whether you want mine as a January multi-parter. So cast your votes in the comment section below. Now, in the recent city tour, we did a part of the video where I had absolutely everything running, and it was incredibly noisy indeed. And as it turned out, I'd actually made a bit of a blunder and didn't have everything running, because I didn't have my Vestas wind turbine running, and I didn't have my power function powered Coast Guard helicopter running either. But nonetheless, but you can imagine how noisy it's going to be when we've got about, I don't know, at least 12 power functions motors all running in that whole section over there. That will be the fairground. It will be a sight to see, but it will also be incredibly noisy. And the thing that I think you can already get an idea of now, if we go to a slightly lower level, is the fact you'll kind of see this fairground and all the movement kind of in gaps between the taller buildings in the distance. And I think it will look really fantastic. And you won't be able to see into that little cavity that we're going to have kind of at the very bottom, that 3 brick height cavity. So it won't be unsightly at all from this angle. So yeah, just a lot of planning today, a lot of moving stuff around and a lot of talking, and not too much actual mock building, but it is necessary to have all these sort of thoughts and strategies for the season ahead. And if you give me your vote as to where to start, I'll get on with it. Cool. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And this time, do remember to actually cast your vote as to whether you want the mine to be the next build, or whether you want the farm to be instead. And I think I should get a vote as well, so I'll kick off the voting. And I think my vote goes to the farm, so that makes it 1-0 to start with. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out all of the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, well, it'll be a Wednesday, so we better get another brick haul done. And then on Friday, we'll either start Farm Fridays, or maybe Fairground Fridays, or something like that, or maybe it'll be another normal update and we'll do Mine Mondays. Who knows? So until then, whatever we do, see you